And we're on chapter 11 now. Now we'll do all three versions, so this will be a little bit longer. Since we didn't do, we'll start off with Genesis 11 in the NIV version of this one. So let's see everything. Cross our fingers. Hope the audio works right. And
Genesis 11. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. This is the account of Shem's family line. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the account of Terah's family line. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans in the land of his birth. Abram and Nahor both married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was childless, because she was not able to conceive. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. Genesis 11. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech.
okay, there we go. So that was the NIV version. Now we'll run over here to the revised name version, or the Hebrew name scriptures. Actually, if anybody's for a little trivia, the first few books of the Bible are called the Torah in Hebrew. So let's go ahead and...
Bereshit chapter 11. And all the earth had one language and one speech. And it came to be, as they set out from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. Then Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower, which the sons of men had built. And Yahweh said, Look, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. Come, let us go there and confuse their language, so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahweh scattered them from there, over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. That is why its name was called Babel, because there Yahweh confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahweh scattered them over the face of all the earth. This is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and brought forth Arpachshad, 2 years after the flood. And after he brought forth Arpachshad, Shem lived 500 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Arpachshad lived 35 years and brought forth Shelach. And after he brought forth Shelach, Arpachshad lived 403 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Shelach lived 30 years and brought forth Ever. And after he brought forth Ever, Shelach lived 403 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Ever lived 34 years and brought forth Peleg. And after he brought forth Peleg, Ever lived 430 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and brought forth Reu. And after he brought forth Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years and brought forth Serug. And after he brought forth Serug, Reu lived 207 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years and brought forth Nahor. And after he brought forth Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and brought forth Terah. And after he brought forth Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and brought forth Avram, Nahor, and Haran. And this is the genealogy of Terah. Terah brought forth Avram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran brought forth Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah, in the land of his birth in Ur-Kasdim. And Avram and Nahor took wives. The name of Avram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Yiscah. And Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took his son Avram, and his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Avram's wife. And they went out with them from Ur-Kasdim to go to the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah came to be 205 years, and Terah died in Haran.
All right, I gotten a little bit better at hitting that off button at the right time. And last but not least, we'll finish up with the King James Version. And of course, everybody notices chapter 11 is the Tower of Babel. Now, it's not a real long story, but you know, this is where you see if there's any differences in the story. And you know, of course, the Hebrew name one, you know, they changed all the names to the old Hebrew language, so it's kind of difficult. A lot more difficult for me to follow anyway. If you're Hebrew or Israeli, it may not be as hard for you to follow.
Genesis chapter 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another,
Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly.
And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said,
Go to, let us build us a city, and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said,
Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do,
And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years, and begat Selah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Selah 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Selah lived 30 years, and begat Eber. And Selah lived after he begat Eber 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years, and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years, and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years, and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years, and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years, and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years, and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran, and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran.
You know something? You notice here after the flood, another thing happened too. That the lifespan went nearly in half. They went from living 900 years to 400, 500 years. So, and this, after the flood, their lifespan was cut in half. Still a long time. It would still be like George Washington would just now be getting to be an old man. You know, he would still be alive. So, you know, it's still a long time, but it is less. It's getting less and less. And as time goes on, you'll see that our lifespan, when we went through those, what they call the Dark Ages, there was, lifespan went down to 60 years was an old person. You know, you use antique if you live 60 years because there was disease and just people didn't know how to keep themselves clean anymore. It just the world went to hell in a handbasket there. And you know, we got a little bit of education, and now we're in the quickening of the end time. And of course you'll see that as we go along here. And if I can keep up this pace, what I'm doing on the Bible, by Christmas we should be through the Torah. And when we get into Leviticus, I'll probably just go back to 2 books, because especially where the parts are just genealogy, I'll just do the 2 parts again. You know, we'll do the King James and whatever. And then when we get into more of the story, we'll go back to 3 versions of the Bible. In other words, where it's just genealogy, we'll do the Old Torah, Hebrew, and the King James, because that's where the biggest difference is in the names. So anyway, I've noticed that, and Lot comes into the picture here. Of course, Lot, he went down into Canaan, and somehow or another he wound up around, what was the name of them two cities? Sodom and Gomorrah, where the homos hung out, and anyway, he had to leave them because he was God wasn't going to put up with that. So anyway, let's move on to chapter 12.